Quantum Break is the game. The much talked about a legend mythos at this point of a game, but it's real. And you try to explain to us where and what you did.
I went to an event in San Francisco. I'm sure you guys are familiar with X15 that happened. It was like the summer showcase. And this was a spring showcase in San Francisco that Microsoft was hosting. So they invited me out, and I went, and they had a few games. But Quantum Break was kind of their bread and butter there. So I got to play 2 hours of it.
Wow, that's a good chunk of time.
Thoughts?
Yeah. I guess I'll talk a bit about the story. So I'm sure you guys are kind of already familiar with it. It's got to do with time and stuff like that, freezing it and traveling through it. So the main character, Jack Joyce, who's played by Shawn Ashmore, and you guys will remember him. He's Iceman.
Yeah.
He basically gets caught in this time experiment gone wrong, and he finds himself frozen in time. And his friend, Paul Serene, who is played by Littlefinger from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
His name is Aidan Gillen. I was spacing on his name there. He is like, he's in the time machine. He's like, I'll go through and I'll just see you on the other side. He's like, all right. So he goes in, and you traverse through this environment, and you're trying to find a way to unfreeze time, and eventually it just happens, and you start gaining abilities. And that's when the game really starts to shine.
Okay, so there's so much stuff to talk about, but for a long time we were wondering, is this game ever going to come out? But it's almost here. I mean, how is this sort of hype around it and presentation around it? I imagine it was the one that everybody wanted to play while they were there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last game that Remedy did was Alan Wake American Nightmare, which was a downloadable game. So they've been working on this for 4.5 years, and they announced it 3 years ago. So people have been kind of up in the air. They're like, I don't know if this is coming anymore. What are you guys doing? Because they've completely recast the main characters and everything like that. Shawn Ashmore got the title role. So people were kind of like, what's going on? And I was really, really happy to find out that the wait has been worth it, because they've really kind of taken the third-person shooter genre and turned it on its head. You're able to freeze time, and the abilities completely change the way that you find yourself going through any given environment. I mean, there are still groups of guys that will come in and essentially you just have to wipe them out in order to progress to the next chapter. But it's really cool the way they've done it. You can cast a time bubble on someone and they'll just be frozen in time. And so you can unload a couple clips into this time bubble, and then all of a sudden it'll come to, and this guy will go flying because he just got riddled with 200 bullets.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. But I mean, I guess the biggest part of the narrative now is the live-action TV show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you get any view on it, or did you hear any new info on it?
I did. So I guess each episode is about 20 to 22 minutes.
Okay.
I got to a point in the game where I had to. You jump back and forth between the good guy and the bad guy.
Okay.
So when you become the bad guy, you have these defining moments where you have to choose a path. So you're going to be like a traditional bad guy. Or you're going to maybe do a more manipulative move to get the public on your side, and that those choices will alter the live action TV show.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And those who just don't want to watch TV while they're playing a game can skip it too. So that's
But will it affect the gameplay if you don't watch it?
I mean, it won't affect the gameplay, but you're going to be missing you can still enjoy the core narrative, but there's a lot of characters that show up in the TV show and cross over into the game, and you're not going to know who they are or what their motives are. So it would be a lot more confusing.
So how are they doing it? Is it you play some of the game, and then is the show airing week to week, or are they just putting up all the episodes at once? How does it work?
Okay, so all the shows come on the disc already.
Okay.
So as soon as you beat a chapter, you're hit with a live action show.
I see.
So it's not like a Netflix situation or something like that where you just marathon the television show.
Can you pause the show in between if you're kind of busy? Well, I don't really I just finished this chapter. I don't really want to watch this episode yet, but I want to watch it later.
I don't know if you. I'm sure you can go back and watch them, but I don't I just hit A and I was able to skip it. So I didn't see a pause option. They do have one thing. If you find bits of Easter eggs laying around the environment, you can grab them essentially, and little notifications will pop up while you're watching the show, like a Blu-ray disc. and it'll be like, oh, you can find out something interesting about this character's background here, and then you can click that, and then you'll get another little video.
That's cool. Like, they've tried to do these kind of interactive TV to gaming things before, and sometimes it just really hasn't worked. But you're giving us the impression that this time this could be the changer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not sold on it. I mean, like, the production value seems really solid, and like playing a chapter and leading into it, it's nice to like get some insight without like having to grind through enemies or something like that. You get a little more narrative.
Yeah.
But I'm still undecided because talking to one of the devs, Greg Loudon, he was the senior narrative designer behind Quantum Break. He told me that there are essentially 40 variations of the live-action TV show that will pop up based on like the different paths you take.
Jeez.
Wow, that is a lot of work.
Yeah, that's a lot of effort into that show. To re-record and re-record and reshoot and reshoot. Wow, that's a lot of effort.
Yeah, it's almost absurd, but I'm kind of curious to find out because he made it seem like you like traditionally like in one playthrough you're going to have about 2 hours of television.
Okay. For the whole game?
And yeah, for like a single playthrough is what he made it sound like.
Okay, so that's like 5 TV.
Which would make me think I guess the bulk of the appeal is going to be through replayability.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spent 2 hours with the game, Riley. From your initial thoughts of the actual game, do you think this will be a console mover? Because we know through predictions that the PS4 at this point is going to outsell the Xbox One. So the Xbox One needs something hopefully exclusive, well, relatively exclusive now it's coming to PC too, that will move consoles. Is this what they're looking for?
I think it's a great game, but I feel like Quantum Break backs itself into a Bloodborne situation in that regard, because Bloodborne is an amazing game. It reviewed incredibly well, and I think Quantum Break will too. But I don't believe it's going to be a console seller, and especially because it's on PC now.
Yeah.
But I really don't think it was going to be a massive console seller to begin with, which is why I think releasing it on PC simultaneously was a really good move.
Yeah, and that's going to come out after the initial release on the Xbox One, right?
It's simultaneous, actually. It comes out April 5th.
What about the fact that it just seems like the game plus the show, that's a lot of time investment they're asking for from people. I mean, I know you don't have to watch the show, but I mean, if you're going to get the game, you might as well watch the show to get to get the full experience. So they're asking for a lot of time from you to get into the full experience.
Right? I mean, like, I played 2 hours of it, and that included watching, like, the 22-minute show. But, like, I think about it, and I'm like, well, if I sit down and I put in Fallout, I'm probably going to be stuck there for, like, an hour and a half, bare minimum. I think all games nowadays ask a lot from you. If you're playing The Witcher, if you're playing Fallout, or if you want to play some Far Cry, like, it's not as easy to jump in and jump out, although, like, that's still an option if you get through a chapter and you're like, all right, I'm going to save now, I'll watch this, like, later.
Did you get, like, a roundabout feeling about how long the gameplay was? Like, how long the story was?
Just based on what he told me about the live-action television show and how it would take about 2 hours of time, I'm going to imagine there's probably going to be, like, 5 core chapters. Like, I can't comment on that, but I'm going to imagine it's probably, like, around that time, because a live-action TV show arrives at around, like, after you wrap up every core chapter.
Okay.
And then you're treated to 22 minutes of live-action television.
So now that you've had some hands-on time and we know that it's real and it's coming out on April 5th, are you more excited now that you've seen what it has to offer, or are you kind of like, nah?
Yeah, I'm actually really stoked for it now. Like, I really didn't think much of it because they announced it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like it pushed itself into the shadows of other AAA titles. Then Fallout came, and then like all these bigger titles came out, and people kind of forgot about Quantum Break. And now it's like, guys, it comes out in less than a month, and it's like, okay, maybe there's a reason to get excited about it now. And I do believe it's probably one of my most anticipated games now. So I'm looking forward to getting some more hands-on time with it.
Yeah, me too. So April 5th, Quantum Break for real, coming out on the Xbox One.
It's happening.
It's happening on the Xbox One and the PC. So look out for it. It's gonna be it's a real thing. It's coming.
It's for reals. It's for realsies, guys.
It's for real, guys. That's what they put on their box. It's for realsies.
Quantum Break for real.
Yeah, Riley Little Game Rant.